The morning rush at Sterling & Co. looked like a symphony of precision. The lobby shimmered with polished marble floors, chrome pillars and silent elevators gliding open like clockwork. Every face moved with purpose, sleek suits, perfect ties, muted confidence. And then came Nia Thompson, tailored navy suit, minimal jewelry, a leather briefcase that looked expensive enough to make people guess her worth, but not announce it. She walked in quietly, her heels steady against the glass floor. She didn't need to command attention. Her presence did it for her. Except this wasn't her company. Not yet. She was here for a business visit, a closed-door meeting on the 15th floor with someone who didn't even know her name yet. As she stepped toward the reception desk, the woman at the counter smiled politely but hesitated. "Can I help you?" "Yes," Nia said, her tone calm but assertive. "I have a meeting with Linda Harrington." The receptionist checked her screen. "Miss Harrington, all right, could you please wait a moment?" Nia nodded and moved aside. She stood near a display of the company's awards. Top 100 innovators, best corporate culture, excellence in integrity. The irony was coming. Across the lobby, Mark Patterson, the floor manager, was speaking to two junior staffers. Middle-aged, sharp haircut, and a voice that carried even when it shouldn't. The type of man who believed authority needed volume. Then it happened. A receptionist whispered, "Hey, where's the company tablet? It was right here." Panic flickered for a moment. The intern started checking under papers, drawers, and the counter. Mark turned, already scanning the room like a detective, waiting for his moment. And his eyes landed on Nia, a lone black woman standing quietly near the reception desk, dressed too sharply, waiting too calmly. He walked over. "Ma'am," he said loudly, "I'm going to need you to open your bag." Nia looked up, confused. "I'm sorry?" Mark's tone sharpened. "We're missing company property. You're the only one here who doesn't work here." The room began to fall silent. Eyes shifted. One of the interns muttered something and slipped away. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," Nia replied evenly. "I haven't taken anything." Mark folded his arms. "Then you won't mind opening your bag so we can clear this up?" Her gaze stayed steady. "You can check whatever you need to, but maybe you should first make sure it's actually stolen." Mark didn't like that. He didn't like calmness from someone he had already decided was guilty. "Security," he called over his shoulder. "Let's make this simple." Within seconds, two uniformed guards walked in. The hum of conversation around them returned, but softer now, whispers, muffled gasps, the sound of phones quietly recording. Nia stood still. One of the guards asked politely, "Ma'am, can we check your belongings?" "Of course," she said. Her voice carried no fear, no panic, just quiet clarity. She opened her briefcase. A tablet, yes, but her own, engraved with her initials, NT. The guard noticed it, glanced at Mark, and shook his head slightly. "That's not ours," the guard murmured, but Mark wasn't done. "You could have hidden it somewhere," he said, louder this time, projecting for the small audience gathering nearby. "People think they can just walk in and take things." Nia exhaled slowly. "Why are you treating me like this? Is it because I am black? You're making a big mistake." Her composure only irritated him more. "Don't turn this into a racist thing. Funny how people suddenly become calm and twist it when they're caught," he said, his smirk returning. "We'll just hold you here until we review the cameras." The guard looked uncomfortable. "Sir, maybe we should wait for Miss Harrington to handle." "No," Mark snapped. "I'm the floor manager. This is my call." And that's when something shifted. The receptionist who had been searching earlier spoke softly, almost to herself. "I think I saw one of the interns using the tablet earlier." Mark cut her off. "Doesn't matter. We have procedures." The word procedures echoed across the marble lobby, heavy, bureaucratic, final. Nia looked at him for a long second. Then she said quietly, "You're not protecting company property. You're protecting your ego." The tension in the lobby was suffocating. Security stood uncertain. Employees whispered from behind desks, eyes darting between Mark's sharp voice and the quiet woman who refused to lose her composure. Nia's briefcase still sat open, spotless inside. The guards had already confirmed nothing was stolen, but Mark couldn't stop. It wasn't about the tablet anymore. It was about proving he was right. Nia looked at him again, the kind of look that cuts through arrogance without a single word. "You think calmness is guilt. Maybe that's what you were taught." His jaw tightened. The crowd murmured. One of the receptionists, clearly uncomfortable, stepped back. She'd seen people like Mark before, men who spoke of professionalism while bathing in their own prejudice. Mark turned to the guards again. "Keep her here until we get the footage. We'll clear it up then." Nia didn't move, but inside a quiet flash of memory burned through her. The first time she'd been accused of something she didn't do. She was 14, a small store in Detroit. A clerk had followed her through every aisle, eyes glued to her backpack. When she finally reached the counter, he'd grabbed it and dumped everything out. She remembered her father stepping forward, tall, weary, tired of explaining their existence. He'd said, "Stay calm when they mistake your silence for guilt. That's where your strength lives." And she did, that day and every day after. Now, decades later, in this glass tower filled with people who thought success looked only one way, she found herself facing the same quiet insult, dressed in a better suit, but the same game being played. Back in the lobby, Mark kept talking, as if his voice could bury his insecurity. "You said you had a meeting? With who exactly?" Nia's reply was steady. "I believe the senior vice president knows." He smirked. "Oh, and what makes you think she'll meet with you?" Before she could answer, the elevator chimed. Out stepped Linda Harrington, poised, sharp, mid-50s, the kind of executive who wore power lightly but expected it to be recognized. She looked around, confused by the sudden silence. "What's happening here?" Mark immediately straightened. "Miss Harrington, good timing. We've got a bit of a theft issue. Company property went missing and this visitor was the only one near it." Linda frowned. "Visitor?" Her gaze landed on Nia, calm, still, unfazed. "Ma'am, do you work here?" "No," Nia replied, her voice even. "I came for a meeting." "With who?" "With you," she said simply. For a split second, the air stilled. Linda blinked. "With me?" "Yes," Nia said, holding her gaze, "but I think it might be best if we start by checking the CCTV footage." Mark's expression faltered for the first time. He opened his mouth, but Linda cut in. "Get the footage," she ordered the guards. Her tone left no room for debate. The guards moved quickly. The rest of the lobby stood in suspended silence, a crowd pretending to work, pretending not to watch. As the footage was being pulled up, Linda motioned for Nia to step aside with her. "I wasn't aware we had a meeting scheduled." Nia nodded. "You weren't. It was arranged through your board liaison." Linda's brow furrowed. "May I ask who you represent?" Before she could reply, the security guard returned. "Ma'am, we have the footage ready." The entire lobby stands in a strange kind of silence. You could almost hear the air conditioning hum, the click of a pen dropping somewhere in the back. Security has already taken a half step back, sensing the tension shifting. Nia stands calm, centered, the only still figure in a sea of uneasy faces. Linda, the senior vice president, gestures sharply toward the security desk. "Pull up the CCTV from the last 15 minutes, she says. Mark blurts, "That's not necessary, ma'am, I'm handling." Linda cuts him off. "No, we'll see who's handling what." Everyone waits. The monitor flickers to life. A slow rewind plays back the events from moments earlier. People walking, elevators opening, a blur of motion. Then, clear as daylight, a young intern in a grey hoodie rushing across the reception area juggling 2 tablets. One slips from his hand and lands behind the reception chair. He looks around nervously, but a call from a coworker pulls him away. The tablet remains unnoticed. The footage ends. The room feels heavier now. The accusation, the shouting, the humiliation, all exposed for what they really were. Linda turns slowly to Mark. "You accused a visitor without evidence?" Mark swallowed. "I thought." "You thought wrong." Linda cut in, voice cold. "Apologize." He hesitated, then turned to Nia. "I'm sorry for the misunderstanding." Nia tilted her head. "A misunderstanding implies it was mutual." Mark looked down. He couldn't meet her eyes. Linda looks from Mark to Nia. "Ma'am, I'm so sorry for this misunderstanding. I had no idea this was happening." Nia straightens her suit jacket. "Neither did I," she replies quietly. "But I suppose something is revealing about what people assume when they look at you." Linda blinks, uncertain how to respond. "If there's anything we can do to..." Nia lifts her hand slightly, stopping her mid-sentence. "There is something," she says, tone calm but cutting through the air. She reaches into her briefcase and slides a folder across the counter toward Linda. "My name is Nia Thompson. I'm the founder and CEO of Thompson Technologies." The whisper starts before the sentence finishes. Linda freezes, eyes darting to the folder, the company logo embossed in silver. Mark's face drains of colour. The Thompson Technologies? Nia nods. I came today to finalise your acquisition deal. Sterling & Co. was supposed to be integrated into my firm by the end of this quarter. Linda looks stunned, speechless. Around them, employees exchange glances, realisation spreading like wildfire. Mark takes a step back. You're the one buying us? I was, Nia says evenly, but I don't finalise partnerships without understanding the culture I'm investing in. Every syllable lands like a quiet verdict. Linda swallows hard. Miss Thompson, please. This doesn't represent our company's values. Mark acted independently, I assure you. Nia interrupts softly. Then it shouldn't be difficult for your leadership to prove that. The line hits. Linda exhales slowly, understanding she's no longer in control of the conversation. Nia continues, her voice calm, deliberate. Here's my condition. The acquisition proceeds only if Mr. Patterson here completes a full month of unpaid suspension and mandatory bias and integrity training, publicly, not behind closed doors. The air goes still again. Mark stares at her, wide-eyed, humiliated. You can't. Linda stops him cold. Be quiet, Mark. For the first time all day, his voice carries no authority. Linda turns back to Nia. You have my word. We'll implement that immediately. Nia studies her for a moment. Then, with the slightest nod, she says, Good, because leadership doesn't start with apologies. It starts with accountability. She collects her folder, her movements precise, unhurried. Every click of her heel on the marble floor feels like punctuation to a sentence no one else could finish. Mark lowers his head, muttering something inaudible, but Nia catches it. I didn't mean to. It wasn't personal. She pauses mid-step and looks back at him. Her tone is steady, her words razor-sharp but free of hate. That's the problem, she says. You never think it's personal until the damage is done. He looks away and she turns back toward the elevator. Linda follows her. Miss Thompson, please, allow me to escort you to the boardroom. We'll have legal and your team ready to proceed. Nia glances at her watch. Not today. I think your staff could use the time to reflect. The elevator dings open and she steps inside. Before the doors close, she looks out at the stunned crowd of employees still frozen in the lobby. You have good people here, she says. Don't let one man's assumptions define all of you. Then the doors slide shut. The employees staring at the reflective metal surface of the elevator. Mark stands at the center, eyes hollow, realizing the world just shifted beneath his feet. Linda exhales, rubbing her temple. Get HR on the line, she tells the security guard, and tell the communications team we're issuing an internal memo before noon. The stillness of the room was deafening. Phones that were once recording Nia's humiliation now type furious messages across the company chat. Nia got in her car, the city skyline in the distance. Her driver glances in the rearview mirror. Rough meeting, ma'am. Nia looks out the window, serene. Necessary, she says. What do you think Nia should have done there? We would love to hear it in the comments. It's now been 4 weeks since the day Sterling & Co. stopped pretending. The morning light pours through the tower's glass facade like judgment. Inside, the mood feels different, not quite heavy, but aware. People speak more softly now. They double-check their words. The laughter that once filled the lobby now carries an undertone of thought. A large notice board near the elevator reads, New company directive. Respect isn't conditional. Every employee deserves dignity. No one misses the name printed below. Initiated by Nia Thompson, Thompson Technologies. The acquisition had gone through just as she said it would, but this wasn't business as usual. It was quiet reform, built on a wound that had embarrassed the entire company. Linda Harrington, the senior vice president, now heads a new division on inclusion and ethical training. She walks the halls differently too, less polished, more human. Her staff can feel it. And Mark Patterson? He's back. The elevator opens and he steps out slowly, no longer the loud, chest-out manager that once ruled the floor. His suit hangs a little loose now, his posture careful, measured. People nod politely, but there's no rush to greet him. Respect, once demanded, must now be earned. As he walks past the reception desk, the same spot where it all began, he stops for a moment. He stares at the marble floor, almost seeing a replay in his mind, his own voice shouting, accusing. The memory burns. He takes a deep breath and continues toward the boardroom. Inside, a meeting is already underway. Linda looks up when he enters. "You're late," she says flatly. Mark nods, taking his seat. "Traffic," he mumbles. "Try honesty next time," she replies, half under her breath. He doesn't respond. He's learned silence now. Then the door opens again. The room instinctively shifts, backs straighten, voices fade. Nia Thompson steps in. The last time she was here, the air had been thick with humiliation. Now it's reverence. She's dressed in a pale grey power suit, her hair swept back neatly. No jewellery, no noise, just presence. Linda stands immediately. "Miss Thompson, welcome back." Nia nods slightly. "Good to see progress." She takes a seat at the head of the table. Let's begin. The meeting unfolds with calm precision. Metrics, mergers, integration timelines. Nia listens more than she speaks. Now and then her eyes drift to Mark. She doesn't avoid him. She studies him, as if measuring whether the lesson stuck. When the reports end, she closes her folder and looks up. "Before we finalise, I'd like to hear from the team. What's changed?" One of the younger employees clears her throat. We actually have weekly workshops now. On communication, bias and emotional intelligence. HR tracks attendance. Nia nods. "And how does it feel? Different?" The girl glances around, hesitant, then says softly, "Safer." That single word lands like a closing argument. Nia turns to Linda. "Keep that, make it permanent." Linda smiles faintly, already in motion. Then she turns to Mark. "Mr. Patterson, you've been quiet." Mark's pulse jumps. "I've been learning," he says, choosing his words carefully. "The training opened my eyes. I thought I understood professionalism. Turns out I just understood control." The room stays silent. Nia studies him for a long beat, then leans forward slightly. "Do you know why I didn't have you fired?" He shakes his head slowly. "Because punishment without reflection only breeds bitterness," she says. "You can't change what you refuse to understand." His eyes flicker with something. Shame, maybe gratitude. It's hard to tell. "I won't ask for forgiveness," he says finally, "but I do want to do better." Nia doesn't respond immediately. Instead, she glances around the room. "Then make sure no one here ever has to live through what I did. That's how you do better." The meeting ends there. No applause, no dramatic music, just a quiet acknowledgement. As the staff begin to disperse, Nia gathers her things. Linda walks her to the door. "You know," Linda says, "most people in your position would have used that incident to destroy us." Nia gives a faint smile. "Destruction is easy. Transformation is harder, but it lasts longer." They share a brief nod of mutual respect, two women who now understand each other in a way that doesn't need words. In the hallway, Nia pauses by the glass wall overlooking the city. The skyline glows with late afternoon light, the same view that once belonged to men who doubted women like her could ever sit at this level. Behind her, soft footsteps approach. A voice, quiet, young. "Miss Thompson?" She turns. A black intern stands nervously at the door, holding a stack of files. He can't be older than 21. His badge reads Jamal. "Yes," she says gently. He swallows hard. "I just wanted to say thank you for how you handled that day. It meant a lot." Nia studies him, the sincerity in his eyes, the careful tone. She remembers herself at that age, carrying the same weight of having to prove every breath. She gives him a small smile. "Make sure they never doubt your worth, Jamal. Not for a second." He nods, eyes shining. "Yes, ma'am." She walks away, her heels echoing down the hallway like a metronome of purpose. As she exits the building, the afternoon sun hits her face. Reporters hover near the front, hoping for a statement. She simply raises a hand to signal no comment. The story has already been told, not through words, but through example. Outside, traffic hums. A breeze lifts the edge of her jacket. She pauses for a moment, taking it all in. The glass towers, the noise, the endless movement of a city that once tried to box her in. Then she turns toward her car. The driver opens the door. "Back to headquarters, ma'am." Nia smiles faintly. "No," she says, "to the next one." The car pulls away, fading into the golden light. And for a brief second, the camera lingers on the reflection in the glass doors, her silhouette walking away, framed by the words etched on the company wall behind her. Respect isn't conditional. If this story moved you, take a second to like the video. It helps more people hear stories like this.